it would be interesting to have a website that had a history of the United States with timelines and anecdotes and all of that told from a number of perspectives, right? So, I mean, I initially thought of this a minute ago or so, thinking of it in terms of like there is a very white perspective, right? I mean, that's how history gets told. That's really at least that's how I experienced things when I was growing up. Just in terms of, you can kind of hear the same thing anywhere, right? You kind of hear the same narrative kind of anywhere, with some variations. You know, I mean, it's not as if, like, but certainly by the time that I was getting educated, it's not as if there was no consideration for another perspective. But for the most part, there was kind of the way that things were talked about was still from a white perspective. And it would be interesting to have, with like paragraphs in the book talking about how other people felt about it besides white people, a little bit, right? Like a paragraph here and there. But it would be interesting to have the entire history of the United States told in its entirety from various perspectives, you know, perspectives of kind of what the dominant narrative has been, from the perspective of women, from the perspective of Native Americans, from the perspective of Black people, from the perspective of Chinese people. Just, you know, you could just kind of have a number. I think it would be an interesting project for a lot of scholars to work on together, you know, because what I don't get a sense of is a really that kind of one that I don't get the sense that there's the same kind of like agreed upon narrative for any other perspective except for the white perspective. And I know that even within the white perspective there are lots of people who make different types of interpretations, but there's just so much more scholarship and writing, I think, that's been done about those things. And there was so much more of that was taught for so much more time, you know? I mean, but the idea that people need to know what happened to them, what happened to other people like them, what happened to, you know, what happened on the other side of the street, what happened on the other side of the country, you know, what was going on. Now, I think the internet is really a good medium for something like that. You know, you could have a website that would incorporate all of that. I think would be really interesting. And of course, you could kind of add to it over time. Some kind of like official website that had all sorts of perspectives about how the United States got to be the way it is.